What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Terrence, YouTube's news reporter. And if this is your first time here, man, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you become part of the family. Now, let's talk about episode 4 of All American. For once, I would say this episode wasn't as good as the rest. Like, it was still good, but I don't know what the word I want to use. It wasn't as jam-packed, fun-filled. I just don't know. Like, it was good, but it wasn't like it didn't have so many moving parts like the first 3 episodes. I think now we're starting to get settled into the season, so that's probably why there wasn't so many moving parts. But nevertheless, man, let's talk about several things that stood out to me in this episode. One, let's talk about Spencer finally going to therapy. This is a huge step for Spencer because, as we know, Spencer has been battling a lot of mental things with his injury, which is causing his arm to go numb. So he finally sees a therapist. But several key things happen while he sees a therapist. One, the therapist tells Spencer that he has a stuck point. So basically, something is stuck in his mind, causing his arm to go numb. Now, at the beginning of the episode, we didn't know what it was. I originally thought it was Olivia. Just based off their conversation and everything and how Spencer looked away, I thought initially, I was like, dang, his stuck point is Olivia because he took the bullet for Olivia. And, you know, every time he sees Olivia, maybe something is triggering that. I don't know. So I immediately jumped to the conclusion and thought it was Olivia. But towards the end of the episode, he writes a note. The therapist tells Spencer to write a note and to dive deeper. And Spencer writes out that whole day he got shot. And he points out that his stuck point is actually Coop. It's actually Coop. Like I said, I originally thought it was Olivia. I just knew in my mind that it was Olivia. But this is the second thing that happened while Spencer was at the therapist. So Spencer tried to say, you know, do you think it's Olivia, in that moment when I got shot with Olivia? He was like, no, your feelings are clear for Olivia. And Spencer was like, what do you mean? And the therapist said, you're in love with Olivia. And Spencer's face was like, what? Nah, man, nah. And Spencer like brushed it off, was like, nah, I love Layla. And the therapist's face was like, just straight stern. It was like, okay, whatever you say. We'll table that for another day. The therapist knows it is clear as day that Spencer is in love with Olivia. I think this is one of the main big things that happened in this episode was that Spencer went to a therapist and the therapist immediately figured out that Spencer is in love with Olivia. Everybody can tell, at least all the viewers like us, we can tell. And I feel like Layla can tell a little bit too. But this is one of the big things that happened in this episode. And I'm glad that it finally came out. I'm glad that the writers added it into the mix because it's about damn time somebody said that. It's about time, and I need Spencer to realize that he's in love with Olivia as well. Those are 2 things that really stood out to me when Spencer went to the therapist. Him falling in love, him being in love with Olivia, and 2, him finding out that his stuck point is actually Coop, the person that he grew up with, the person that, he's had her back the whole time. They are like 2 peas in a pod. Like, you see Coop, you see Spencer, you see Spencer, you see Coop. Like, I just cannot believe that. So, I'm actually curious what's going to happen in episode 5. In the trailer for next week, which you can also find in the description box, they previewed that, Spencer confronts Coop. And he tells Coop, what's what? Like, you're the reason I got shot. You are the reason I got shot. So, I'm curious to see, is their friendship going to be the same? Are they going to part ways? What's going to happen, man? I'm really curious because, for Spencer, family's over everything. That's what the whole episode is about. Family over everything. Coop is making a song, family over everything. And we're going to touch that a little bit later. But I'm really curious to see what's going to happen between Coop and Spencer now that, Spencer actually realizes his stuck point. Now, the second thing that stood out to me was Coach Baker's dad and Jordan's grandpa. I cannot think of his name to save my life. So we're just going to say grandpa right now. Why was grandpa in town? Like, he was unannounced. He didn't tell anybody. What's really going on? Why is he in town? Like, he comes for his son the whole time and says like, oh, you gonna follow Spencer all the way to college? You left your son behind to follow Spencer? Like, he came all the way there just to chew out his son. Then he talks about how Jordan is really stuck up Simone's butt. So I don't know, man. I just feel like Grandpa, I don't think he's there for a good reason. I think something is happening because when Coach Baker mentioned his mom, Grandpa's wife, he was like, don't you dare talk about that. You left mom alone. You put her in a nursing home when she got sick. I felt like something's going to just explode in a few episodes between their relationship. So we gotta keep watching that woman. We really gotta keep watching it. I don't know why he's here, but something is telling me, like the hairs on my neck is sticking up, and something is telling me that he's not here for a good reason. He's just not here for a good reason. Now, let's also chime on Jordan and Simone really quick. Their relationship is just weird, man. Like, I get it. They have this huge arrangement and all that good stuff, but Jordan is really stuck up Simone's butt, man. Like, he really is. Like, I need him to give her some space and let her make her own decisions, which he finally did in this episode. He let her stand on her own 2 feet as she went over to her child's parents' home. Now, I really like how the writers did this. Instead of Simone taking her child back, they let the new family and Simone come together as one and make one big family. It was really a touching moment, honestly, to see Simone, thinking she made the wrong decision, actually realizing she made the right decision with this new family that's letting her stay around and come see her son from time to time. So I really like how the writers did that. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is Darnell leaving. This we knew was coming a whole episode, right? We knew Darnell was going to leave after the last episode when they foreshadowed, him leaving. His mom was injured, but the good news is, she has surgery, and she's going to recover. But Darnell leaves in a week. Like deep down inside, like maybe like 2% of me thought that the writers was going to twist this around and somehow Darnell was going to stay. Like 2%, but like the rest of 98%, I just knew he was going to leave. But it was really cool to see that. Spencer, Darnell, and the other guy, I cannot think of his name, the other wide receiver that Spencer hates, bro. Like, they do not get along. But they all came together just for Darnell, to throw Darnell a going away party. So, man, it's going to suck to see Darnell leave. I really think him and Spencer could have done some damage. Like, they went through all of this, hating each other, battling each other, fighting each other, losing their dad together, then all of a sudden, living together, becoming brothers. They just went through so much together in a short period of time that I'm really sad to see Darnell leave. But, Darnell has to do what he got to do, man. He got to take care of his mom. That's all he has left. But, I like how Spencer came to him and told him that, this will always be a family. When him and Darnell had a heart-to-heart, and Darnell was like, listen, Spence, I'm a military kid. I bounce around left to right. Like, I bounced around 4 different times, and I got caught up, man. I thought this was my home. That was stupid of me. And then Spencer was like, listen, bro, home is what you make it. And, this will always be home. So I just like how, I love him and Spencer's relationship, man. I know I'm diving a little too deep into this, but they're more alike than they think. I really hope that Darnell comes back, his mom gets good, and Darnell comes back, and then him and Spencer hook back up, and they just win this championship, man. I really hope they do. Now, for the final topic, man, let's talk about Coop, Layla, and Patience. The episode ended in the most crazy way. One, because Spencer finally realized that Coop is a stuck point. Never expected that. Then 2, Layla is suing her dad. I was like, golly, like Layla, she is not playing, bro. She plays 0 games. Suing your dad? All to help Patience out? Wow. Wow. Listen, I guess she learned from her dad, it's all about business. But now that Layla's getting stronger, she's standing on her own 2 feet. What does this mean for her and Spencer once she realizes that Spencer is in love with Olivia? Now that she's strong, is she going to spaz on Spencer? Is she going to get revenge? Like, what is she going to do? Or is she just going to walk away because she's a strong woman now? Like, I just don't know. But I feel like Layla's getting extremely strong now. She's getting powerful. Something's bad going to happen between her and Spencer. That is a reach. I know. I've reached before. But I don't know, man. I just feel like something's not sitting right with that whole little situation, that whole triangle. I don't know what's going to play out. But as we saw early in the episode, Spencer told Olivia that, he missed his friend. She's like, I missed you too. Then he leaned in a hug. He talked about, I would take that bullet again for you. Listen, Spencer, just say it, man. You're in love with Olivia. Just say it. You're in love with Olivia. We all see it. We all see it. Well, guys, that is all the time I got for today, man. Those are all the things that really stood out to me in episode 5. Man, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And also hop in that comment box and let me know what you thought about today's episode along with this YouTube video. Also, again, in the description box will be a link to the trailer for episode 5. Again, due to copyright issues, I cannot give y'all a preview of the trailer. I don't want to strike. So You all can watch it. You can click the link in the description box and you all can watch it. Until next week, I'll catch y'all later.